My brother-in-law borrowed my garage to store some old furniture. Months later, I found boxes of stolen electronics. When I confronted him, he told the police I was the one selling them. I lost my job. But I still had one thing he didn't expect. I never thought I'd be one of those people writing out a story like this. But here I am, 47 years old, broke, angry, and trying to pull my life back together. All because I let someone in my family take advantage of me. And I didn't see it until it was too late. I live outside Sacramento, in one of those quiet older neighborhoods where the houses still have decent-sized yards and attached garages. I've been here 12 years. Nothing fancy, just a two-bedroom I bought after my divorce. I worked, I should say, in warehouse logistics. Not glamorous, but solid pay, benefits, retirement plan. I kept my head down and did my job. That was my life. My brother-in-law, Scott, is 10 years younger than me. Married to my wife's sister. The kind of guy who always had a scheme. First it was flipping sneakers, then drop shipping, then import-export. Nothing ever stuck longer than 6 months. He never seemed to actually work a real job more than a few weeks at a time. But he always talked like he was one big break away from being rich. 2 years ago, around March, he came by and said he was tight on space. Claimed he'd started a side hustle, finding old furniture at estate sales and flipping it online. Said he didn't have enough room at his apartment and asked if he could store a few pieces in my garage for a bit. I had space. My garage was maybe half full. Tools, camping gear, a workbench I barely touched. I didn't even think twice. I said sure. At first, it was fine. He dropped off a few worn-out dressers and some beat-up chairs. Nothing weird. I didn't even really look at it. Then more boxes started showing up. Unlabeled. Heavy boxes. He never brought them when I was home. Always while I was at work. I'd come home, and there'd be new ones stacked against the far wall. I asked him about it, and he just waved it off. More inventory, he said. It's good stuff. I'm getting close to opening my own shop. After about 6 months, the garage was more his than mine. I couldn't get to my lawnmower without moving stuff. I told him he had to come get some of it out. He nodded, smiled, and said, "Next week, I promise." That week turned into 2 more months. He stopped answering my texts as fast. Started showing up only when he felt like it. Always with a new excuse. His landlord was being a jerk. His wife was pregnant again. He was too busy filling orders. Whatever. One Saturday morning, I'd had enough. I needed to fix my weed trimmer, and I couldn't find the damn thing under all his boxes. I moved a few to the side, then curiosity got the better of me. I opened one. It wasn't furniture. It was full of shrink-wrapped electronics. Brand new iPads. I opened another box. Bluetooth speakers. Then smartwatches. Then more iPads. I opened maybe 5 boxes total, and every one of them was full of new tech. I just stood there. My stomach dropped. This wasn't inventory from estate sales. It was stolen. It had to be. That night, I called him. Told him to come over. He strolled in like nothing was wrong. I didn't even play around. "What the hell is in those boxes, Scott?" He looked at me and said, calm as could be, "Don't worry about it. It's all good. Just some overstock I got from a guy I know." "Overstock?" I asked. "Then why does it all look like it fell off a truck?" He smiled. Shrugged. "It's fine. I'll get it out of here. Give me till the weekend." I told him flat out, it needed to be gone. I wasn't risking my house, my job, or my name for whatever he was mixed up in. He left. 2 days later, cops showed up at 6:30 in the morning. Search warrant in hand. They searched the garage, found all of it. Every single box. They said they'd received a tip I was running a resale operation out of my house. One officer even asked where I kept my payment records. I tried to explain. Show them the texts. Told them it was my brother-in-law's stuff. But they already had a statement from Scott. He'd flipped the script. Said I asked him to store the stolen goods. That he didn't even know what was inside, just did me a favor. He even had faked Venmo transactions, made it look like I paid him for renting space. There was a fake invoice with my name on it. I got arrested, charged with possession of stolen property. I spent 18 hours in jail before they let me out on bail. The case didn't hold. I had enough texts and timestamps to cast out, but my name was already smeared. My job let me go. Internal policy, they said. Trust violation. I'd been there 11 years. No one else would hire me after that. I had a record. Even if the charges were dropped, the arrest was still there. And you know what they say, where there's smoke, I drain my savings. Moved to doing Instacart deliveries. Had to sell my motorcycle just to keep up on bills. I lost almost everything. But one night, sitting on my laptop, broke and angry, I remembered something. Scott isn't tech-savvy. When he first moved in with his wife, he asked me to help set up their Wi-Fi. I helped him sync his phone to a cloud backup. He gave me the password so I could troubleshoot something later. I still had the login. And that's when things started to change. Logging into Scott's cloud account felt like stepping into someone's locked room without a key. I shouldn't have done it, but at that point, I didn't care. He ruined my life. I wanted to know what he was hiding, and I needed proof. It didn't take long. His photo backups were still syncing. Screenshots of spreadsheets, emails, tracking numbers. I scrolled for hours. Then I found it. A folder named Shipments_2023. Inside were dozens of order receipts, serial numbers, customer names, and shipping labels. Some went back almost a year. All for expensive electronics. Laptops, tablets, watches, speakers. Every item had a buyer's name and address. And they were being sent from my zip code. He'd been using a third-party drop shipping service tied to my location, probably to make it look like the products were coming from a legitimate local seller. It was all there in black and white. Worse, some of the labels used my actual home address as the return address. There were also messages between him and two other guys, saved in email threads. He called them T and Vic. The emails made it clear this wasn't some side hustle. This was organized. These guys had a list of hot items and even talked about warehouse targets. They were stealing and moving thousands of merchandise, and Scott was the middleman. I started downloading everything. Emails, screenshots, invoices, serial numbers, over 200 files. I copied it all onto a flash drive and backed it up to a new email account I made just for this. I thought about going to the police right then, but I held off. Because the worst part came 2 weeks later. I was shopping for groceries late one night. Nothing fancy, just some cereal, eggs, and dog food. I was in line at the register when I saw Scott. He didn't see me at first. He was standing by the pharmacy counter with a cop. They were laughing. I froze. Just stood there, watching. He was talking to this young officer like they were old friends. He even clapped the guy on the shoulder before walking out. When I left the store, Scott was already gone. But it hit me he had friends on the inside. No wonder the police showed up so fast at my house. No wonder they believed his version of the story before even hearing mine. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept thinking, if he had people helping him, how far would he go? Turns out, further than I ever imagined. A week later, my bank account was locked. I couldn't log in. I called the bank and they told me there was a security hold due to unusual activity. Someone had tried to open a new line of credit using my identity. They flagged it because it didn't match my usual spending habits, but it still froze everything. I had $480 to my name. Rent was due in 5 days. I started to unravel. Every time I tried to get ahead, something else fell apart. My landlord gave me a warning notice. My credit score dropped 90 points in 1 month. I checked my credit report and saw 3 hard inquiries from companies I didn't recognize. Scott was stealing my identity. He wasn't done ruining me. I called my sister-in-law, his wife. Told her everything. She said I was making it up. Said Scott told her I was trying to blackmail him because I was broke and bitter. That night, I got a text from Scott. It said, "Careful how far you push this. You already lost. Move on." That's when I knew I couldn't just prove what he did. I had to destroy him. After Scott texted me that threat, I went silent. I didn't respond. I didn't react. I knew if I showed my hand too early, he'd just twist it around again. That's what he always did. Lie first, then lie bigger when the truth got close. So I played along, pretended to be broken, stopped calling his wife, deleted the angry Facebook posts I'd made, let everyone think I'd just given up and crawled away. But in the background, I was watching him. Every week, I checked his cloud. He didn't change the password. Probably forgot I ever had it. I saw his business grow. Bigger orders, new customers, more stolen tech. Then I saw something I didn't expect. A receipt for a plane ticket. One way. His name. Booked for the following month. Destination. Tulum, Mexico. The date. April 9th. It was February when I saw it. That gave me just under 2 months. He was planning to disappear. I started connecting the dots. That new car he suddenly had? Bought in his wife's name. The crypto app screenshots in his photo roll showed he was moving thousands. He was cashing out and preparing to leave. But there was one more twist. My ex-wife, Sarah, called me out of the blue. We hadn't talked much since our divorce, but she sounded weird, nervous. Said she got a letter from a debt collector asking about a joint business loan she supposedly co-signed. She never signed anything. She sent me a copy. Scott had used her name too, not just mine. He was using mine, Sarah's, maybe others, to set up fake businesses and take out high-interest loans. I couldn't prove it all yet, but I could see the pattern. Multiple names on contracts, overlapping addresses, weird phone numbers tied to burner Gmail accounts. This wasn't just petty theft. It was identity fraud, wire fraud conspiracy. He was setting up to run, leave all the mess behind, and let us all drown in his trail. I finally reached out to someone who'd listen. My cousin Jeremy works in IT security for a private firm. I showed him the files. Everything. He helped me organize it. Cross-reference the metadata. He found timestamps, IP addresses, even device signatures that tied everything back to Scott's home network. We even traced the cloud backups to a second drive, one he thought was private. That's when we found something explosive. A video. A screen recording about 23 minutes long. Scott was walking someone through a setup process on Zoom, teaching a man how to set up a fake online storefront. In the video, he bragged about how easy it was to hijack business info from nobodies with credit cards. At one point, he literally said, "My brother-in-law's credit is crap now, and he doesn't even know I used his info for 2 storefronts. If he ever figures it out, it's too late." That was it. The proof. The voice. The confession. I didn't send it to the police, not yet. Because now, I wasn't just thinking about revenge. I was planning it. I had everything I needed to destroy him. But I knew if I went to the police now, there was a good chance he'd find a way to slip through again. Maybe his cop friend would help him, or maybe he'd just lawyer up and spin another story before skipping the country. I wanted more than justice. I wanted him to feel it. So I started laying my own trap. First, I opened a new email account and created a fake buyer profile using a burner phone. I contacted him through one of his phony storefronts pretending to be an overseas wholesaler looking to place a bulk order. I offered cash, said I'd fly in from Canada with payment. I dangled $50,000 in front of him. He took the bait fast. He sent me a long list of inventory, said he could get me whatever I needed. Said he could arrange a clean shipment, no questions asked. I had him. While that was going on, I leaked just enough info to a small local tech blog that covers online scams and shady business. I used an anonymous tip line, sent redacted screenshots, tracking numbers and metadata, all pointing back to Scott's store. Within a week, the blog ran a piece on an anonymous e-fence operating near Sacramento, complete with photos of some stolen goods that I'd sent them. Scott didn't know it yet, but people were watching. Then I reached out to someone who really mattered. The wife. His wife, my sister-in-law, had ignored me when I tried to warn her the first time. But now I had hard proof. I showed her everything, without trying to convince her. Just emailed her the file and said, "You deserve to know what kind of man you married." It worked. She didn't respond right away, but I saw her name pop up in some of Scott's newer emails. She was asking him questions, pressing him. At one point, he told someone else, "I think she's starting to get suspicious. I need to move the timeline up." That meant he was getting scared, rushing, making mistakes. And that's when I made my last move before going nuclear. I uploaded the video, the Zoom recording, to a cloud drive and set it to private. Then I emailed the link to the same detective who had come to my house and arrested me all those months ago. No explanation. Just the link and the sentence. "You arrested the wrong man. Watch this before he disappears." Then I waited. 2 days after I sent that email to the detective, everything started moving fast. I got a call from an unknown number. It was the detective, same guy who put cuffs on me 8 months ago. His voice was different this time. Serious, but quiet. He didn't apologize. Cops never do. But he asked if I could come in to talk. I went. In the interview room, I laid out everything. The files, the emails, the cloud access, the orders, the video. He already had most of it printed out. Turns out, he'd watched the Zoom call 3 times. Said it was the most direct confession he'd seen in a fraud case in years. They'd been investigating a ring that matched the same operation. My info just cracked the last piece wide open. Then he told me the best part. Scott was already in custody. Apparently, the tech blog story and my sister-in-law digging had pushed things over the edge. Scott had tried to move a big order of goods to a fake warehouse address. Police intercepted it. Found stolen electronics matching serial numbers from multiple open theft reports. When they picked him up, he still had his bags packed and passport in his glove box. One-way ticket to Mexico in his backpack. He looked stunned when they told him what tipped them off. It was me. They arrested his 2 partners, T and Vic, the same week. Charges included identity theft, wire fraud, trafficking in stolen goods, conspiracy, and attempted flight to avoid prosecution. The DA estimated the total value of stolen items at over $750,000. With priors, Scott was looking at up to 15 years. He pled guilty after 3 months of pretrial hearings. My sister-in-law filed for divorce a month after that. Took the kids. She had no idea what he'd been doing. And she handed over her laptop, which had even more messages and proof. She thanked me, quietly, by leaving a handwritten note at my door. It said, "Thank you for not giving up. I'm sorry I didn't believe you." But it wasn't over for me. It took 6 more months to clear my name completely. I had to hire a lawyer to clean my record and sue for wrongful termination. I ended up settling with my old company. Not enough to get everything back, but enough to pay off my debt and rebuild. And I did something else. I made copies of all the files. Put them in a small folder. I mailed that folder to every person who ever told me to let it go or move on. Including the cop who first cuffed me and my ex-boss who fired me on the spot. I didn't write a note. Just let the truth speak for itself. As for Scott, he's still inside. Last I heard, he was trying to get early release by snitching on someone else. Same as always, throwing others under the bus to save himself. But this time, no one's buying it. I lost almost everything because I trusted family. But I got it back the only way I could. Piece by piece. With proof. With patience. And with a kind of revenge that didn't just punish him, it erased him. Forever.